Real Canadian Wendigo stories. A tale of the Grand Jardin. It had been a remarkable day for trout, and we only quit fishing when the falling darkness and the sudden onset of a tempestuous cloudburst forced us to seek shelter in our tent, himself in danger of blowing away. The rest of the party had gone to town to seek provisions, leaving us with only pork and stale biscuit. The storm was too intense to make tea or cook fish, and would prevent our friends from returning. So all we could do was sit and smoke and stare out the tent flap as lightning illuminated the raging river. Sit and smoke and yarn. We were in the Grand Jardin des Ors, one of the loneliest spots in the Laurentians, hence the spectacular fishing. It was a bleak area of granite, lichen, and moss, and we were probably the only human beings found amidst its desolation. Do you know anything about Paul Dugas? Heard anything about him? He vanished, didn't he? My companion didn't answer directly, but said, "It was Dugas who first brought me here, back before there were any trails or visitors, other than some Montagnais Indians. He was like a madman, always on the move, never stopping for rest or even food, and if he was following any trails, I couldn't see them. Still, he led me to superb fishing, as you have experienced." What happened to him? Who knows? Bush mania? The call of the wild? He went into the woods without weapons or grub, and wasn't seen for an entire month, until he appeared, a wreck of a man, at his father's door. He survived the winter, more vegetable than man, and was gone again in the spring. And no one has seen him since? My friend hesitated again, so I repeated my question. According to the Montagnais, a person who dies mad in the wilderness becomes a Wendigo, a sort of werewolf with a taste for flesh, or at least some sort of cannibal. Some whispered Dugas had suffered such a fate. He listened to the sounds of the falling rain, then said, "Dugas had told me of a volcanic lake, headwaters of the Rivière l'Enfer, the River of Hell. Apparently the lake was home to monster trout, but he always refused to guide me there. After Dugas' disappearance, I determined to find it, and find it I did. It's not far from here as the crow flies. The water was black as ink and deep. My soundings could never reach bottom. We pitched our tent on sand as black as the lake itself, and as we were short of supplies, I sent my men back to town, planning to spend the day in solitary fishing. They were to be back by sunset, but as the day went on, I began to feel increasingly uneasy. The sun began to fade, and was then eclipsed by low scudding clouds, while the surrounding peaks became dark and ominous. As the wind picked up, I secured the canoe and went to see to the tent, just as the storm hit with a rush and a roar. The rain and thunder were deafening, but above the tumult, I thought I could hear something. It came again, and I realized it was a bestial cry or scream, more animal than human. I gripped the pole of the tent and wished my men had come back. The cry came again, closer, with a pitch of agony, like an animal whose insides had been torn, twisted out, and I found my knife was in my hand. "Hello?" I sang out, not that I expected a reply, at least not a human one. But the reply came, a loud, agonizing mixture of hatred and distress, and it was right outside the opening of the tent. I forced myself to look, and there, standing in the torrential rain, was a hulking, panting, shadowy figure. There was a blaze of lightning. I screamed, and it was upon me, fang and claw. I dived into the Stygian waters of the Lake of Hell, and somehow made it through the surging billows to the other side, where I staggered frantically down the trail. I could hear it lumbering after me, making the darkness hideous with its yowls. I didn't stop running until I came to where my men had been forced to camp for the night. I was safe. We left the next day, I've never been back there, but this spot is damn close. Too damn close. Who or what was it? He was quiet again, then said somberly, I pray to the good God it wasn't the remains of Paul Dugas. There was a lull in the storm, and in that instant it came, the most atrocious and appalling outcry I had ever heard, a wail that no human being could make. We looked out. It stood just outside the tent. It had been a man once, and then it sprang.